Hello, I'm Joel Blackford with Beth Hesed Sabbath Fellowship. We meet every Sabbath at 11:30 a.m. to sunset at 1631 Ford Parkway in St. Paul, Minnesota. On the lower right-hand corner is my father. He started this out. He did the top 10 every year, and we haven't done this in 10 years because he died. But John Clarence Blackford is his name. When he was born, he was the firstborn, and it was a difficult birth, and they ripped his little ear off. So he had ear infections. So he determined, he said, God, if you will let me live, I'll become a pastor. So even though he was tremendous, he was a PhD level in math physics, he went into the ministry, served very, very well in Lindstrom, Minnesota, primarily in Hastings and Minneapolis. Tremendous, brilliant man, much better than I could ever be at theology. He's Arminian, like I am, although I'm Messianic on top of it. But that means free will, and we'll discuss that a little bit today as we discuss some of the Calvinists. So this is the top 10. This is my first shot at top 10, so hopefully you like it, of what happened in 2019. As always, I try not to twist the Bible verses. I try to test out the prophets, and that's modern prophets and ancient prophets, and then I test out the news. Top 10 for me. Money is the biggest issue right now. The faith is dead wood in America right now because we're so wealthy and we're lazy. Charisma. So that would be gifts of God's Spirit. Many people claim all manifestations of God's Spirit are strange fire. Some people out there have fake charismata, which means that yoga, kundalini, all that crud gets to come into the church. And then they bring in fake tongues and spiritualism and basically voodoo and demon worshiping. That's going on too. So you've got both sides of the equation. Fake music. It's loud, it's 7-11, which means 7 words 11 times. It's vapid, it's me focused. It's all about me. It's not about God. It's horrible lyrics too. Covert narcissism. You'll see how bad it is when you see the Antichrist. I don't think he'll be a narcissist. I think he'll be a covert narcissist. He's not going to come out and say, hey, by the way, I'm the Antichrist. He's going to be a narcissist, and you're going to have to figure him out. Anti-Noahide. It's really anti-Semitism, and they're going to sound like Nazis. I want to show you what's going on at the core of these people. War. Oh, we're going to have war soon enough in the world, but where? Why? When? Who? And then the civil wars in the USA and Israel. Right now, half of the people in the United States and Israel say, get rid of Trump and everything's okay. Get rid of Netanyahu, everything's okay. No, it's not. If Pence took over, it would be the same problem. So really, half hates the other half. And I don't see it getting any better. We're just like ancient Israel with Jeroboam and Rehoboam. Then Pope Francis, is he the false prophet or is he just going to retire? And the Antichrist, when will he show up? So first of all, greed. You know, I loved Norman Vincent Peale, but he brought in that prosperity doctrine, and it just took off after that. Now, Joel Osteen from Houston, he's so wealthy, and he stinks of money. And so you've got these false preachers that are getting fat off their people, and and they'll curse you if you don't give them money. I've got one buddy that went to a church and the pastor figured out that his aunt had died and his aunt had a trust. So the pastor thought, well, he'll just give the money to me. Well, no, it's a trust and it's a directed trust. So once the pastor figured out that he wasn't going to get the guy's cash, then he became a lump of coal. So it's all about the money, and it's really disgusting. And if you wonder why there are no gifts going on in America right now, and why there are so many amazing miracles occurring elsewhere, it's because we're wealthy and just pathetic. Greed, for lack of a better word, is good. Well, churches have become temples of greed. We're fat, greedy, money-grubbing churches. And that's why the church is dead in most cases, and that's why it may not resurrect. Um, Unless things change, unless something horrific occurs, it'll just get worse, and that's too bad. But we're fat, we're greedy, we're lazy, and we don't pray very much, and it's just really bad. Okay, so now we're going to go on to the next point, which is anti-charismata. So John MacArthur is the ringleader. He's the poster child for this one. And that means that I believe he's a piece of dead wood. And that means everything, every gift, every miracle, every healing, every speaking in tongue is a strange fire. And so people who want to see miracles today should stop following fake healers and start engaging in biblical evangelism his way. I mean, he really is playing God right now. See, spiritually dead sinner made alive in Christ Jesus by the power of the Spirit. But what Spirit? It's just, it's Gnosticism to me. It's modern neo-Gnosticism, where it's John MacArthur's Calvinism or the highway, and there's no room for God or miracles or prophecy or anything with these guys. And they're the arbiters, so I believe they're dead wood, and you can see how I would like to flush them down the toilet. You can see the picture up there on the upper right of the guys, and then the toilet with the wood in it. They've gone way too far. They are mocking God's Spirit at these strange fire conferences, so they are anti-charismata. Then the next thing is the Bethelites. And I've given a pass to Bethel over the years, and now it's getting worse. And I've given a pass to Mike Bickle down in Kansas City at IHOP, but it's just getting worse and worse and worse. So Bethel believes in something like Hogwarts for Christians, which is their prophecy school. You don't teach prophecy, you have it as a gift, or you don't have it, okay? The hysterical laughter, the twitching, the twerking, things like that, the shouting, uh, they kick up gold dust in their HVAC system and call that a movement of God. Talking on God's Spirit like you're smoking on a bong or whatever. It's just all fake demon dancing, the false anointing laying on graves, trying to suck up spirits. That's Bill Johnson, and they're getting worse. Now, I don't understand how in 2018 the car fire saved Bethel Church of Redding, California from being burned down, but they were saved. That's God. He's long suffering. So for some odd reason, they're still there mocking God in their own way. But recently here, this sweet little child died on the right-hand side here. She died at Bethel. They didn't seek proper care for her, medical care, and then they tried to pray her back into life. Now that's fine. You can do that. But when you're a fake faith, nothing happens. So this baby's dead now. And so it really looks like these people have fallen, and I don't see them getting back up again. So you've got the wood, the dead wood on the Calvinist side of John MacArthur, and then the dead wood. Well, they're alive, but they're just absolutely wild wood from Bethel Church and IHOP and other places like that. Part of the problem is the music. The music has gotten more rock and rollish. It's gotten louder. It's Hillsong music, which started out okay, and now it's just horrible. And Jesus culture, which is bad, and the Bethel music, and it's all heretical in many ways. And so the words are 7-11, 7 words 11 times to get you into mesmerized states. This guy on the right-hand side, Greg Cooper, is saying, is the theology good? He thinks it's going worse than ever before. And so my citation on the left-hand side is We Are Legion. That's not their name. I can't remember their name now. But this young lady is dancing up a storm, shaking her rear end. And I said, where's her stripper pole? People don't like that. And our local radio station, KTIS, plays their music. And I feel that this is horrible because you shouldn't have young, attractive ladies dancing up a storm and shaking their rear ends and, needing a stripper pole for their music. And so this is their holy water song. The video is a little bit over the top. And yeah, you're excited about God. No, you're just excited about making money off your videos. It's really getting pathetic. So I think they're We Are the Kingdom, and I call them We Are Legion. And you know that reference to the demoniacs. I'm sorry. Oh goodness, what happened here? Okay. So there we go. We're done with this and moving on to narcissism. So the rule of thumb, according to the rabbis, is demons wear masks, and they do. I've had a demonic interaction, and they did wear masks. They do not show their true character. They don't tell you what's going on. Everybody knows who the overt narcissists are. We all can figure them out very, very quickly. The covert narcissists, they're very difficult to see. The overts run companies, and I've worked for many overt narcissists. You get used to them. They want you to praise them and glorify them. I mean, kings are usually an overt narcissist. Covert narcissists don't have the skill set to be a king or a leader. So what they use is trickery. They're wolves in sheep clothing. They're underhanded. They're deceptive. They pretend to be your lovers. They're givers, altruistic, but they're not. They're not loyal and kind. They're going to turn on you in an instant. And because they have very tiny egos, they have to they're sadists ultimately, because if they can't bring you down to their level, they can't come up to your level, so they have to bring you down to their level, and they work in a covert way. I'm arguing that the Antichrist is that particular person. So be aware of covert narcissists, as I'm doing a separate video on that, so just get ready for that. Okay, the Noahide guys. So first of all, let's discuss Noahide. Okay, so the 7 points are prohibition of idol worship. Oh, now some people are saying, well, that's Yeshua. He's not an idol, and everybody knows that. Prohibition of improper relations, bestiality, homosexuality, things like that. Prohibition of murder, prohibition of blasphemy, prohibition of stealing, establishing courts, and then don't eat a limb off a live animal. Okay, those are not horrible, and they're actually in Acts 15. A few times it's repeated constantly in Acts 15. So be aware of that. These are good things to do, and so the Christians are coming against them. And so the 4 guys are Stephen Ben DeNoon, Chuck Baldwin, Rick Wiles, and Stephen Pidgeon, and they sound like Julius Streicher, who is the leading propagandist for the Nazi party. So let's read from him. Back in probably 1922, he said, I have to repeat again and again, he who knows the Talmud knows the Jew. So what he's saying is marginalize the Talmud and you can marginalize the person, the Jew. The laws of the Talmud are contrary to the German system of laws. You should acknowledge the importance of discussing this matter in connection with the judiciary budget. Once you know what the Talmud orders the Jew to do, you will understand today's state of affairs. Oh, that's exactly what these other 4 men are arguing right now. And they had their persecution conference in Orlando, March 30th, 2019. There's no persecution. It's like 1,000 to 1 Christians persecuting the Jews. Okay, have you checked the news lately? It's not Jews persecuting Christians, and it never will be. This is just a bunch of crazy guys. Beware of the Noahide laws. And here's what they're saying. This legislation from 1991, where Bush basically did a formality and said, well, yeah, we're going to acknowledge that the Noahide laws exist. And so this legislation makes a provision for Christians and all other non-Jews in North America to be executed by beheading if they refuse to renounce their personal beliefs and come under a Jewish belief system. For Christians, this means denying Jesus Christ or death under Noahide laws. So once again, on the top there, it's Chuck Baldwin, then Rick Wiles, talking to Chuck Baldwin in the middle there, then Stephen Ben DeNoon. He's a crazy guy. I mean, I can't even listen to him because he's always crazy. He has no control over his emotions. And then lower right-hand corner there in the pictures is Stephen Pidgeon. I used to like Stephen Pidgeon, but I can't listen to him anymore because he's part of the crazy guys. And you never want to listen to crazy people. So ultimately, this is all anti-Semitism, and this is blowing up the Talmud, and we've seen it, and I'm going to do a separate video on this. Every time you see somebody burning the Talmuds, they're going to come and try to kill the Jews right afterwards, and they're both happening right now. So what I want to do is say that to all of these anti-Talmud guys and anti-Semite guys, Rick Wiles calls Israel the unholy land, okay? And other horrible things like that. So all of these guys are jerks. And so Jesus is not returning to New York, Berlin, Paris, Babylon, Damascus, or London. He's coming back to Zion, which is Israel. And these guys are all going to look stupid at some point in time if they don't get in trouble in the meantime. And God's going to judge them for what they've done. Okay, so now the next point is war. Where is this war going to occur? Are Russia, China, and Iran going to start a war? Iran's their proxy. Well, they just did naval drills in the Indian Ocean recently. And then this is today, actually. Iran-backed militias attacked the U.S. Embassy in Iraq. Well, Iran is emboldened now because China and Russia are saying, whatever you want to do, do it. And what they want to do is test and see what the United States does and see if the United States is going to just give up and be done. So this is just like the Iran. So this is 2019. That was 1979. I was the manager at Hamlin University of the Iranian house, okay? And I protected my Iranian friends because they were my friends. I loved them dearly. And I'm still friends with some of them to this day. So the main thing is this is 40 years. There's a 40-year time of testing. And it's interesting that they attacked the Iranian embassy in 1979, and now 2019, this is the U.S. embassy in Iraq. Just interesting to notice. Then the next point is American Civil War. We're divided. Now, I've made the point as of 2012 that we were divided just like Israel, with Jeroboam in the north and Rehoboam in the south. Rehoboam was the son of Solomon, Jeroboam was not. And they have 1 Kings 12, and that seemed to play out during 2012 as we had Hurricane Sandy in the election, and happened during the fall Sukkot. Go ahead and read 1 Kings 12 and just see what I'm talking about, and you'll see what happened during that time frame. And so I'm preaching that we're in the third seal now based on that, because that was prophesied. But we are a divided nation. We're primarily red because most of the farm people, the rural people, believe in Trump and guns. So it's babies and guns. Those are the big issues. Well, guns don't kill people. People kill people. And as you saw with the recent attack, the knives, the machetes were the ones killing. It wasn't necessarily guns. And so if you took away everything, they'd still throw rocks. Keep that in mind. Hatred doesn't stop just because you take away the weapons. So we are a divided nation, and I think there's a civil war coming of some sort. I don't know what that means. I don't know what it'll bring. I'm not fomenting it. I'm just noticing it. And I won't get involved in it because that's the last thing I will get involved in. We are not commanded to be involved in civil wars. Okay, false prophet. Everybody said as of 2012, 2013, we're going to get another pope, and it's going to be the false prophet based on the St. Malachi prophecies of 1,000 years ago. And then we've been waiting for this to occur. So Tom Horn, Chris Putnam predicted this, and they predicted very well. They said it would happen in 2012, but be reported in 2013. That's exactly what happened. I wondered how they got inside information to that effect. So if you read the last one, in the last persecution, the seat of the Holy Roman Church will be occupied by Peter the Roman, who will feed his sheep through many tribulations, at the term of which the city of 7 hills will be destroyed, and the formidable judge will judge his people. The end. And every other prophecy is matched of the last 500 years. So Benedict was, he chose the name Benedict, which would be devastated religion. That was from 1914 to 1922. Let's go to the more of the recent ones that I know. Okay, so Fluorim. So he chose the coat of flowers. That would be Paul VI. And then John Paul I. Well, he died came to power in the middle of the moon and died on the half moon. So, and he was the lunae. He was the middle of the moon. Labor of the sun. That was going to be John Paul II, and he was of the eclipse of the sun, or from the labor of the sun, and I can't remember what it was. I think he was born during an eclipse of the sun. Then the glory of the olive, which would be Benedict XVI, and he was a Benedictine. He was an olive grower. I mean, that's what the Benedictines did. And so Francis, we believe he's Petrus Romanus, but we don't know it. And also, I hate to be gross, but at some point in time, people need to use the bathroom or leave the bathroom. And so he's going to have to do something here. He's either going to work with the Antichrist and destroy our world, or he's going to get out of the way. And one more time, just so you can hear it from my lips again, this is not an anti-Catholic statement. There are many wonderful, God-fearing Catholics out there. This is against the Pope and against many of the cardinals. There's a wickedness in the Vatican. Okay, so the final point is the Antichrist. I truly believe that he will be a beautiful, handsome man like Alexander the Great. It's funny that this person came up down below with the same theory as me and said Antichrist Angelina Ballerina. I don't know who that is. Viggo Mortensen, handsome man. He has the look of an Antichrist, being handsome. But Alexander the Great too. So I believe that he will be a handsome young man, and he will bring in that 666 and the mark of the beast and worship and all those horrible things. Where is he? When is he going to show up? We don't know. We're waiting for the Messiah. We've approached Seal 3 and gone through it via 2012, and now we're waiting for Seal 4, and we'll see some of the signs. We've seen some of the signs of Seal 5 and Seal 6. You'll see more of Seal 6 signs, though. That's it. That's my message for you for 2019, my top 10. And it's in honor of Reverend John Blackford from Lindstrom, Minnesota, and his great ministry. Thank you. Good night.